Good morning, Boker Tov. Today is Friday, April 16th, Erev Shabbat of the double Parsha of Tazria-Metzora. Tazria-Metzora, we know the term Metzora. It refers to the disorder of the flesh or of the garment or of the house that clearly goes beyond the natural. It is beyond the teva, as Ramban makes sure to remind us. It's a visitation of God on a person. And it comes for any manner, any number of possible crimes. The most significant of them, Chazal say, is Lashon Hara, the way we might turn against another person and disparage them when they're not aware of what we're doing. In the process, the way in which a person deals with the mark on this flesh that happens, perhaps all across one's body, is that they turn for help. And they turn specifically to the Kohen, not to the Rofei, not to a doctor, and there seem to have been some form of doctors around, but rather they turn to the Kohen to help establish their reality and then help them emerge from it. And over again, the Torah describes that the bara kohen et nega, the kohen would take a look at the nega, at the blemish on the skin and on the hair, make a decision about it again and again. And yet, one pasuk changes everything in how we appreciate the events. Let me read you this pasuk. Bara ha-kohen et nega bor basar, v'siara nega hafach lavan, mareh nega mok meor basaro. Just describing the Kohen, and the details of the blemish on the skin. Nega tzarat, who it is indeed the blemish of tzarat. Vera'ahu ha-kohen v'timeoto, and the Kohen would see it, and he would declare it tameh, or declare him tameh. Why did the Torah need to repeat that phrase, Vera'ah ha-kohen et hanega, and then again at the end, Vera'ahu ha-kohen? The Kohen would see the blemish, and the Kohen would see it and declare. Why the repetition? And here I'll share with you two readings. The first is that of the Meshech Chochmah. Meshech Chochmah understands that there are really two different re'iyot that happen here. This will lead us to the other interpretation also in a minute. One is that the Kohen would assess the specific nega and what it is, and then Vera'ahu ha-kohen means to take in the whole picture of the reality of the individual and his life and circumstances. And there are a number of times in which the Kohen might make a decision not to declare someone tameh yet because of things that need to happen in his life. For example, if he was a chatan, he was supposed to be getting married, or just got married, the Kohen would give him another 7 days, the days to be able to celebrate before he would make the declaration of the person being tameh, because it's given over to the Kohen some degree of leverage and breadth of decision making to hold off on the official declaration on this person, which would throw him into a whole vortex of rules and send him out of the camp. So the Kohen would see it, but then see the circumstances. That's how he's reading it, and then and make a decision now or make a decision for later. And that's actually something that's really important. I think not long ago in one of my recordings we talked about poskim who make sure that the same chicken, if I can use that right, that storyline, the same chicken could be brought to the rabbi for the rabbi to make a decision about whether it's kosher or not, how it's slaughtered, and looking at it. And the same chicken brought by a wealthy person might be declared by the rabbi, based on what he pretty much sees in front of him, not to be kosher. Whereas if it were bought by a pauper, he might make a different decision. Find the most lenient possible way to decide so that this poor person shouldn't be without their food. So that's Vera'ah ha-kohen et hanega, Vera'ahu ha-kohen. The Kohen would see the circumstances. But it might be an even more significant message here that goes beyond that. The Kohen was tasked with making determination about skin disorders, right? Heavenly skin disorders. And uh, he's a religious dermatologist. And once and again, the a person, people come before him, or he goes to see the people, and he puts perhaps on his special glasses, magnifying glass he will use to hone in on the nega, on the blemish. And that's what he's there to decide about. Is this a blemish or not? But at some point, the Kohen's got to realize he's not really deciding about skin. He's deciding about a person. It's a variation of the Meshech Chochmah in a different way. At some point, the Kohen has to be able to look up and away from the specific part of the skin and see a whole person in front of him and make a declaration about him or her. This is your situation. This is your reality. This is you. And if the Kohen can take that step back and really see the individual in front of him, it might very well be that he will approach this differently. It's not like the case of the chicken, really. He's really making a decision about an individual, and whatever he's going to decide here is going to have a broader impact, but it's also the assessment that he's making of an individual. I'm not just assessing a little thing, but I'm assessing you. And oftentimes, when we look at someone, we take on that role of the Kohen, and we might hone right in on a person's flaws, right to their nega. It's so simple and so easy and so natural for us to do that. We might know people who this is the way they work. Whatever context they find themselves, they immediately see what's wrong with it, and they get right for the nega, right for the blemish. And here the Torah says, even though the work here is about nega finding and it's assessing negaim and these blemishes, even here the Torah says, please, that's not what it's about. If your life is about finding what's wrong in everything, you'll find wrong all the time. Your goal should be to see the entirety of something in front of you, and hopefully the nega fades. It fades back. Whether this person will have to be in the quarantine of Sarat or not, right? We'll see. But the broader and more everlasting statement about all of us and the way we engage with one another is meant to be taken this way. Don't just look at the nega. In fact, try to avoid looking at the nega. Look at the whole individual, and the picture might indeed change dramatically when you realize the fullness of a person, and that is a call and demand of the Parshat. I hope that we can be holy Kohanim here and fulfill the call of this mitzvah, of this pasuk, v'ra'ahu hakohen, to see the person himself and all that we do and how we interact with others. Life will be better. Our interactions will be better. Our appreciation of one another will indeed be stronger, and the fabric of our society will be as well, if we can live up to that call. Have a Shabbat Shalom.